Hi, Fritz. How are you doing? Everything fine on your end?
Good morning. Yes, very good. We're just talking about balancing life and the world and everything. And I feel like you can probably see it in my eyes. I always feel like my eyes are like getting old man tired looking. So when we're doing podcasts or I'm online, it's easy to look at my eyes and go, wow, yeah, it's been a week. Um, Here we are on a Saturday morning. I get done with a Friday, kind of a late, just going, oh my gosh, and now I'm going to catch up on my Bitcoin world after a Fiat job all week and family and all the good things in life. Finding that balance, part of my message for people generally, probably a lot of your listeners, is that we are normal people with normal lives who also make room for Bitcoin. And so you try to not make that at the expense of things. At the same time, I push and I set goals for myself as I try to learn. So at one level, I'm tired. At another level, I'm living life well. Anyway, things are good.
Fiat money produces a fiat world. And in this fiat world, people who are Bitcoin minded also have to suffer because of fiat money.
Right. You can't just like, oh, I found the escape hatch. I'm just going to climb right through that. Like all you got to do is walk away. That walking away has its entanglements because we grew up in the world we inherited, and will continue to make this transition. There's this great realignment happening towards Bitcoin. And you can imagine that world like, oh, someday, yes, things are getting better. Things will be better. Someday I imagine being able to do this and more. Meanwhile, a lot of your listeners, I believe, have a situation like I do. I mean, I have a family. I have a job that I can't just up and quit. I mean, I can imagine directions around decisions around that. But short of being like stuck, I'm working now on a Bitcoin path that gets me less stuck, or in fact is really just an investment towards long-term goals that will be free. But day to day, so say like Monday through Friday, and even I get calls at night randomly, and the nature of my job, I can get a call in the middle of the night for having to attend to something just in an emergency. And so your mind, even as you can try to separate work and life, as many of us do, it's like you're going to make room for your work and you're going to make room for your life and your hobbies and your real goals. Sometimes those need to be separated just because of the nature of how you pay for your life. Finding that balance is hard, but it's hard in some jobs too, where you can't just escape or shut it off. I kind of got this constant tug in my brain, a little hook that sucks me back into Fiat, or other people's dramas make my priorities sucked into priorities that I don't want to be mine, but I need to attend to. As a manager, I have to manage that and take care of people. So many people that I think may relate, they're all into Bitcoin. They may totally get it. They're stacking hard. They're pushing where they can. That doesn't mean you can just quit your job and you're not going to neglect your family. Say, pay your mortgage or your rent or whatever. You have a lifestyle. Now, even as on your own personal alignment, you're shifting what that means and maybe making it more authentic, or you're shifting your values. That's not just oh, I get it, but now I'm going that way and I've got to fix. It is a transition. So I'm going through that. I've been going through that for years, and it's a journey. So I'm still working at it, but as I do so, I learn, and actually it helps address the question kind of again and again for myself. One of the core questions is kind of like, who are you? Who am I? You have a sense of that when you're young. You enter your 30s, you enter your 40s. I'm approaching 50, and I'll continually stop. And we have these moments like in the fall season, you stop and reflect, or you read a recent book, or you learn something new, and you're like, who am I? How does this align with my values? Are my values shifting? I did not expect how Bitcoin would affect me that way. I think when I got into it, it registered with a lot of things I'd already built on years ago with the banks, with, say, getting into gold, getting into based life security stuff, thinking through all the first principle things. And at one point I got like, okay, I get it. This is where I'm at now. Now that was kind of a new foundation. Year by year, month by month, I'm still constantly learning something new or getting challenged by new ideas. And it's important to not sit on your saddle and go, yep, No, I got it already. I figured it out. I know what I know now. I'm constantly learning. And so that life journey and my values are also continually getting reconciled with what I learn and where we're going, because we don't know what we don't know. And as things change in life, it's good to stay aware and be flexible, mentally flexible.
And your job is, from what I understand, super Fiat. It's not
Well,
just it's a Fiat job.
yeah. So we had a podcast together over a year ago, um, about a year and a couple months ago, I think. And we had talked about that a bit. It's in law enforcement. I'm at a manager level in law enforcement. It's parole and probation. Now I have worked over a couple of decades now in law enforcement, and it's evolved. Well, so I should go back a little bit. So I grew up way back late 80s, early 90s, tinkering on my parents' Commodore 64, learning to code in BASIC, started building my own PC clone computers, and just got super into computers. And from there, studied computer science, degree in computer science. I'm going to be a coder. I went to work for Microsoft, worked at Microsoft for a few years, left Microsoft back when the Department of Justice sued them, antitrust stuff. And I wasn't going to be like a millionaire in stock in 10 years and retire. It was like, okay, so this is a career and it's hard work. And I broke off to join at .com during the .com era. So around the turn of the century, I was all just kind of tech bro, but into code, super nerd, and burning out perhaps, or my incentives were getting challenged because it was like number go up stuff, stock price go up. Oh, we're gonna go public. We're gonna make money. You'll retire young, like I had peers do. Or people a little older than me that just got in earlier, and the world was changing. So the internet was changing. We didn't have Bitcoin yet, but there was no other real escape hatch. So the escape hatch for me, being feeling kind of burned out and just tech push, ship the next product. Our timelines went from a year to 6 months to just auto updates every few months. It was like, oh my goodness. So I got tired of that hamster wheel, and I left to enter law enforcement, sort of as at the time, my own mental escape hatch. I was wanting to get more based in life, do something that helps people directly, affects people's lives, be a good guy, contribute to society, all the good things. These are jobs that we need in the world. And I think even if you imagine even the most big picture realignment into a Bitcoin world, I read an interesting book recently about libertarianism, but where libertarianism intersects with a large community, or a large number of people, a large need for a kind of governance, it is harder to self-regulate. You can imagine how that might happen, but as we're seeing most recently, I hate to bring up the Charlie Kirk situation, but it impacted me very deeply. I didn't follow him closely, but I was quite aware of him. I had heard him on podcast stuff, and I was like, I don't agree with everything, but man, he's creating dialogue and being challenged and challenging, but is open about conversation. So with the recent events, it hit me that we are getting pushed into this hard divide among people to fight and disagree over issues. And what we need really is more patience and a kind of measured, appropriate tolerance and intolerance of how we handle that. With large societies, even on a Bitcoin standard, my point being that jobs like what I have in parole and probation, or as a road cop, or working in the jail, which I did for a number of years, I worked in the jail. These are hard jobs, and they're jobs that are also still necessary in society, because people aren't always aware of the multifaceted nature of the human animal. There are challenges in our world with people who do horrible things, or less horrible but unhelpful, hurtful things. And we don't always have the science to go in and say, here's what we do, here's how we fix that. In our current situation of human society, some of our best science is to put them away and give them a timeout or lock them up as we work on that. I've seen people who can be worked on and get better. And ultimately, it has to come from within your own spirit, when you learn and improve yourself. But there are hurt people out there and challenged people and, quite frankly, predators. And we don't always have the science to fix it. I think we imagine we'd like to have that. Meanwhile, people who do work in my world, I work with a lot of great people and they're smart people, but their jobs are to better society by trying to solve these problems. And so it's oftentimes just that immediate response, immediate contact, immediate timeout, and working towards something longer term, like what fixes this, what helps this person. Now, as we know, a lot of these societal challenges are burdened by the fiat system we have and how incentives and mindsets and behavior, human behavior, has been eroded steadily as people desperately have no solution in their mind, or they've inherited generational stuckness themselves or pain. And so these are honorable jobs we need to have. As I've done this kind of career that I've found both rewarding and very hard for over 2 decades, having left tech and gone into the public sector and work directly with people, everything from people who are doing well and bettering themselves, mostly their work with my help, to other people that are, quite frankly, predators and need to be managed tightly or put away. And I do all that for different types of folks. Someone needs to do that work. Now, is that the kind of work that as I approach 50, I want to be doing as a retirement path? Maybe not. It is hard work. Maybe it's young man's work. I don't know, young person's work. So yes, as I've learned about Bitcoin, and I've been more solidly into Bitcoin since about 2019, Bitcoin started planting those seeds that instead of initially just being number go up, maybe I can retire and get out of this. It's much more deep than that. It's a mindset. It's a, what am I doing with my time? It makes you reevaluate the time you have on this planet. Seeing Charlie Kirk shot and dead immediately, it hit me like, wow, cherish your family, cherish your time. You don't know what life has for you. And it causes a pause for all of us to evaluate our time and our values. And what are we doing with our time? For me, Bitcoin remains very aligned with quality time, quality people, even as I have a lot to learn and I continue to do so. So all that to say, Bitcoin fixes this, both the fiat incentives and all the mechanisms in the world, shallow or deep, that drive divides and infighting amongst us. What I want to see and what Bitcoin does for many of us is a unification of our goals, our incentives. What is a quality life? Why have things been the way they have been? I could go on about a lot of this, but yes, Bitcoin has realigned my values over time. And even this week has given me pause to reflect upon what it's doing for me today. Being here today with you is an exercise continually in my reflections on who am I, like know yourself, who are you? And where does, Bitcoin being a part of that, balancing your transition as you age and become more wise.
I had never made that connection before, but as you talked about going out of tech and being so focused on this number go up technology in tech stocks, and it kind of reminded me of like Bitcoin. A lot of people are very focused on the price. Whenever Bitcoin goes up just 5-6%, and in a day, you have it all over the feed, and it feels like a lot of people, especially the one. And we all like if Bitcoin goes up. We all like when we see, oh shit, like we just got $5,000, $10,000, maybe $50,000, maybe $100,000, depending on how many Bitcoin you have, going up in a day, in a week, in a month, whatever. This feels good.
Yeah.
But there is something where maybe it's unhealthy. Maybe the obsession with the price going up is too much. And I just thought about the same thing that you say with tech stocks, with Bitcoin treasury companies, maybe, where we have a lot of this, oh yeah, let's get even more out of that. Let's leverage, let's borrow against it. Let's do all the crazy shit. Is there some, like, do you see some similarities? Like when the .com bubble was like, I was barely 2 years old.
Yep.
I didn't really live through that, but as you lived through it and as you actually worked also in that environment while this was ongoing, do you see any similarities now with the Bitcoin ecosystem where it was with the .com bubble?
Yeah, absolutely. I think my experience at Microsoft and in the .com world gave me a good perspective that I can lean on now and are parallel to what I see happening in Bitcoin as well. You know, at Microsoft, there's this energy. We're all in the same tribe. We're winning. We're going to kill Netscape. You know, Internet Explorer cannot fail. Integrating Internet Explorer. And then I'd stop and think, okay, this all feels good in a number go up way. And it's a fiat kind of a mindset. It's competitive resource capture as corporations all grapple with each other about. I get it. It's capitalism in one regard, but you can go overboard with that. One reason, one incentive I had to leave the tech industry was this, I don't want to say completely toxic, but a kind of greed going on where people just, it was like sell more, beat the competitor, stock needs to go back up. It was nothing but number go up in one regard. Even as you're working with smart people, working on smart stuff, and that's energizing. Ultimately, at the end of the day, you know, what was the program manager and the program director and the vice president, what were they all asking about ultimately is how many units are you selling? Are you selling? Are we beating the competitor? And I would stop and reflect on, not that the stuff we were working on wasn't cool and innovative, but within Microsoft, there'd be two teams working on very similar things because they didn't know what direction the market was going. And one might be kind of like more hardware working with software, and the other would be more software working with hardware. And they would have two teams in adjacent buildings working on something almost the same, pitted against each other to see which one defeated the other. And you had internal Microsoft teams whose competitor was the guys in the other building. And I was like, this is, in one sense, strategically, I get it. Microsoft being an umbrella of many effort companies. At another level, it felt a little greedy and toxic to me. And it wasn't aligned with my nature. I think my nature is often very collaborative and humble. Maybe I guess it sounds easy to say, but I try to stay humble and stack sats and stack knowledge. But remind myself, I would get very caught up in a world of like, oh yeah, we're the smartest people. We know better. We're gonna win. We'll just win, win, win. When I got sick of that and was feeling sort of a nature of greed and over competition and number go up, I had reasons to leave. And when I left, and with perspective, I had peers who went on to become certainly richer than I am right now, short of the fact that they have no maybe clue about Bitcoin really. So when I see Bitcoin Twitter, I enjoy as much as the other guy, like, oh yes, it's up, it's validating. I like seeing the number and that my average buy price over the years I've gained. It's been rewarding. I'm not just like holding on, you know, for the revolution, which is also why I do it.
Thank you for watching this video. This was only a snippet of the podcast. And if you want to watch the full episode and get all of the context of this episode, you can click right here or here. Oh, maybe also here.